Hello everyone, it is a pleasure to meet you again. Now we come to lesson 5. We will learn about adjectives. Adjectives are to modify nouns as well as any phrase or other part of speech functioning as noun. Let's see the examples. The two participants are asked to write about their respective interests. Respective is the adjective to modify interest, the noun. The interior designer will add some comfortable sets of furniture in this lobby. Sets of furniture is a phrase. Comfortable modifies the phrase. The student's creative writing will be compiled into a book and published soon. Writing is another part of speech. It is verb adding by ing form, or we call it gerund. So in this case, creative modifies the gerund or writing. Okay, basically, adjectives are grouped into syntactic categories: predicative and attributive adjectives. Predicative adjectives are also called as subject complement, are put after the linking verb. The design of the buildings for the movie shots are fantastic. In this sentence, are is the linking verb, while attributive adjectives are put before the noun or after the noun directly. This fantastic building has been visited by millions of people. Fantastic before building the noun. Most adjectives are predicative and attributive, but there is exceptions. See these sentences. Some participants were asleep during the presentation. The sleepy participants are trying to stay awake. We cannot say some asleep participants, but we can say the participants who are sleepy. So there are few adjectives that are only used as predicative adjectives. I give you the examples: alone, afraid, aware, upset, or awake. Okay, we still have other categories. The first, proper adjectives. Proper adjectives are formed from proper noun to create descriptive words like American, Italian, Shakespearean, etc. Italian food has been known worldwide for years. Italian is the proper adjectives comes from Italy. Italy is the name of a nation. Italian is the adjective refers to the people or the language. So we want to describe the food. That's why we need the adjective. The next, compound adjectives. Compound adjectives are created from two or more words to modify the same noun, and usually they are joined with hyphens. The combination can be adjective and adjective, or adjective and noun, or noun and adjective, or other combination. People's preference now is sugar-free drink to keep their health. Sugar-free modifies the drink. It is noun and this is adjective. The next, demonstrative adjectives, or we can call it demonstrative determinants. It is to specify what we are referring to. It can be plural or singular. If we want to refer to the plural nouns, we use this and those, and singular this and that. These fantastic beasts are created to beautify the story. This is for the plural one. Okay, the next is interrogative adjectives. What, which, and whose. What, which, and whose belong to question words because they are followed by noun. We wonder which artist created such a highly detailed creature. Which movie? What movie? Whose creature? So they are always followed by the noun. What and which actually are the same. They show choices, but what is more than which. Okay, the next is collective adjectives and nominal adjectives. They are the same actually. They are adjectives that functions as noun by adding the before the adjective. Collective adjectives refers to a group of people, while nominal adjectives is more general. So, more and more people pay attention on the poor and the homeless. Here, the poor people are the homeless people. This species has beautiful colors and I prefer the white. The white refers to this species, of course, whose color is white. Okay. Now, when you want to have some adjectives in an adjectival phrase, you must pay attention on the order of the adjectives. The first is opinion, and then measurement, shape, condition, age, color, pattern, origin, material, and purpose. So at least you have to learn this by heart. I give you the example. The wonderful Youth Square Theater has been inaugurated by the president. The wonderful is opinion, huge is the measurement, and square is the shape. So we cannot have the square, huge, wonderful theater or the huge, wonderful square theater. So be careful with the order. Okay, now how to have the adjectives in simple sentence. First, it can be put before the noun or we call it as the prepositive adjective. The state is on the central position of the huge stadium. Central and huge is the prepositive adjective. This is before the noun. And after the noun are post-positive adjective. For post-positive adjectives, we have some examples. The first is wisdoms derived from other languages. The professor emeritus will share his experiences with young researchers. Emeritus is derived from Latin. Emeritus professor or professor emeritus, you can have them interchangeable. But mostly, when the terms derive from other languages, the position is after the noun. The next is after indefinite pronoun. There is no one aware of our presence now. No one is the pronoun. And then after the noun with some adjectives ending in able or able. There are many books readable for children in this library. So readable explain or modify many books, modifies many books. But when you want to have the prepositive or the post-positive adjective, you must consider the meaning that you want to express. For example, he is a responsible teacher. It means that the teacher has the ability to act right or to make a good decision. or have a good judgment. But we need to find the man responsible for this. Responsible for this. It means that we want to find someone who is blamed for what blamed for something bad happened. So the meaning of the word responsible here is different. That's why be careful when you want to put the adjectives after or before the noun. The next, after superlative attributive adjectives, you had better guarantee the finest material available whenever we need it. So the finest material here, the finest shows the superlative attributive adjectives. So when we need another adjective, you put it as the post positive. The next, after expressing measurement, be careful, it looks shallow, but it is more than 5 meters deep. So meters is the measurement. You can have 7 years old like that. Okay, the next is as object complement. I will make those cards busy before you enter the front gate. Busy is the adjective to modify the direct object of this one, of this verb. So for the object complement, I mean the verb that are followed by the object complement are actually special. Not all of the verbs can be followed by the object complement. I give you the example like believe, boil, beat, color, cut, drive, fail, find, get, have, keep, live, make, paint, etc. Okay, so I think we need exercise. How about having the exercise now? I have 10 sentences which are incorrect, and we have to find which makes them incorrect. Okay, number 1. Octave became an exemplary mentor for everyone who willingly shares knowledge with others. Yes, exemplary is wrong because we don't need an adverb. We need an adjective because you see we have the noun here to be modified. That's why exemplary. The next. Wilbur and his brother had the innovation collaborative, which was considered as the historic flight. We have this one, the innovation collaborative. We have adjective clause here. Adjective clause means that it modifies the noun. So collaborative is not the noun. That's why we have the innovation here. So the position must be the collaborative innovation. So the innovation is the noun that is modified by the adjective clause. Okay, the next. Octave included the idea of environment conservation in the urban planning. Yes, environment conservation. Actually, it is okay when we want to have the compound noun. Compound noun consists of two nouns, where the first noun functions as the adjective. But in this case, we need the compound adjective because conservation relates to the environment. That's why it should be environmental conservation. Okay, number 4. Octave found civil engineering not interest anymore, so he began to pay attention on aviation. Okay, interest, this is noun. We have the verb find or found here. This verb is followed by object complement. The object complement actually can be the noun or adjective, but in this sentence, civil engineering is not interesting. So we need adjective, not noun. That's why interesting. Okay. Number 5. He pursued the extensively international correspondence with anyone interested in designing, the heavier air machine. Which one? Okay, this one. Extensively. It is okay actually. You have an adverb before the adjective because an adverb can also modify adjective. But again, always see the meaning of the whole sentence. What we want here with the word extensive is to modify the correspondence. So we need adjective, the correspondence which is international and extensive. That's why we have the adjective here. Number 6, when Jeannot retired, his interest in aviation never made him an alone man, as he was busy publishing numerous articles about flying machines. So, an alone man, yes, of course, this is one that is wrong, because alone here belongs to few adjectives that are used only in predicative or and predicative adjectives as predicative adjectives. So we need the attributive adjectives, that is lonely. Number 7, Jeannot and his team were able to invent the most successful flying machine is crucial enough to lead the future invention on aircraft. Okay, it is. Some of you may think why it is wrong. It is correct because before the adjective we need to be oriented verb. Oh yes, but in this sentence we have this is simple sentence, so we have already had the predicate, that is were. That's why we don't need is here. Besides, there is here the most successful flying machine. This is the superlative attributive adjectives. That's why we can put the another adjective here as the post positive. Okay, the next. Number 8. Jeannot documented series of his experiments valuably for other engineers who wanted to develop aircraft. Yes, valuably. It is an adverb. It is okay actually, because if you want to explain documented, you need the adverb. But again, in this sentence, the meaning is the experiments which are valuable for other engineers. That's why we need the adjective. And the position is post positive, not here before the noun, because we want to emphasize that the experiments valuable for other engineers. This only about how you want to to stress or to emphasize the meaning of the sentence, the meaning, especially the word valuable. Okay, number 9. The Frenchman coming to United States at the age of 6 showed his remarkable competence in civil engineering at 17. Okay, it is noun. It is the name of a nation, while we need descriptive word for the man to describe the man. That's why we need the adjective one, that is French. The next, the last, I think, since the commercial great gain from his books had been more sufficient than what he needed, he committed to the free and open distribution of knowledge written on his books. Which one? Commercial great. Okay, there are two adjectives, so be careful with the order. It should be great commercial gain, because great is the opinion and commercial is the purpose. So great comes first, then commercial. Okay, so number 10 is about the order. Okay, I think it's enough our lesson today. I hope that you can understand how to put adjectives in order that you can have the good or meaningful sentences. Okay, everyone, thank you for watching. Goodbye.